When I was still grieving the loss of my wife and daughter, I discovered the cruelest truth: my wife hadn't died at all. She had faked her death and married the son of the richest man in Notingdun City. From then on, she stepped into the glamorous life of a wealthy socialite. When I uncovered the truth, the shock struck me like lightning. I confronted her face to face, but she didn't even flinch. Instead, she sneered. "You think a penniless man like you deserves to be my husband? I've remarried and taken on a new identity. Stay out of my life, or don't blame me for what happens next." Her words cut me to the bone. Even our daughter turned her back on me. Crushed, I let go for good. But not long after, she returned, regretful, begging me to remember the vows we had made on our wedding day, to never leave, never forsake. I looked at her and laughed coldly. Yes, I did make that promise once. But sadly, my wife died 3 years ago. It was in the 3rd year after my wife and daughter's death that my biological parents came to find me and officially acknowledged me as their son. I boarded a flight with them back to Notingdun City. No sooner had we arrived than I was ushered into my father's car to attend a dinner party hosted by one of his friends. At the party, I stood in a corner with a wine glass, expressionless. The glittering crowd and lively chatter couldn't stir even a flicker of interest in me. "Hey, isn't that Mrs. Payton? Look at her outfit, must be worth hundreds of thousands at least. She's so lucky. If only I could marry into a wealthy family like that." The gossip buzzed all around me. I glanced toward the entrance, curious, and froze. A woman in a designer gown stepped in, her figure draped in jewels, smiling radiantly as she waved to the guests. That face was identical to the wife I'd thought dead for 3 years. Hilary Stone was alive. Thinking I must be hallucinating, I pinched my thigh so hard it turned red. But the sharp pain confirmed it. This was real. My eyes burned, my heart churned like a stormy sea. Setting down my glass, I strode toward her without hesitation. But before I could call her name, a tall man suddenly stepped into my path. He wrapped his arm around Hilary's waist, leaning close. "Hilary, darling, what took you so long?" he asked gently. Their intimate exchange rang in my ears. I froze mid-step, eyes locked on them. "It was Lily," she answered with a smile. "She wouldn't let me leave. It took me forever to coax her into letting go." The words struck like thunder in my skull. My breath caught. That man was Ross Payton, Hilary's first love. A dull ache pressed against my chest, darker thoughts rising like a tide. She hadn't just betrayed me, she had lied to me all along. My strength drained, I staggered back and leaned against the wall, frozen in disbelief. Only after the party ended did I finally move. I followed her to the restroom and blocked her path. "Hilary," I shouted. She turned, pupils contracting, her face going pale, then quickly composed herself and smiled. "Excuse me, sir. Do we know each other?" I clenched my jaw. "Sir?" I repeated, seething. "Hilary, are you seriously putting on a show right now?" Without waiting for a reply, I grabbed her wrist, pulling her toward me. Startled, she shrieked. You, what do you think you're doing? I'll call the cops for harassment." I yanked up her sleeve, revealing the familiar mole on her wrist. A bitter laugh escaped me. "Still pretending, Hilary? I know every inch of your body. Most importantly, why are you pretending not to know me?" Her expression darkened, lips pressed tight. "Husband? Are you insane? Keep this up and I'll scream for help." "Go ahead," I chuckled coldly. "Let everyone hear. Or better yet, let your new man come and see for himself." Her face flushed with fury. After a long silence, she finally spat. "Fine. You win. I won't pretend anymore. But there's nothing left to say between us. I've remarried. Stop clinging to me." Rage surged through me, clouding my vision. "Hilary, it's been 3 years. I thought you and our daughter were dead. And now you toss me aside with a single sentence about remarriage? Do you know how much guilt and regret I've carried? Do you know the nightmares I've endured every night?" She stared coldly, her voice like ice. "You already saw it all. What more do you want me to explain?" "Fine, I'll tell you. I planned that fire 3 years ago. I did it to get away from you. I never loved you. I never wanted to live that life with you." Her words struck like a hammer to the chest. My body turned to stone. "Nick," she continued mercilessly, "marrying you was the biggest regret of my life. I could never accept your poverty. Look at you. Do you really think someone like you deserves to be my husband, or Lily's father? With what you earn, you couldn't even afford a fingernail of mine." Each word was a blade cutting into me. My chest ached so much I could hardly breathe. So this is what you thought of me all along? I whispered. Then why did you marry me at all? Her answer was a dagger. Because I needed to survive. I never loved you. I've always loved someone else. Olivia Cameron stood in the open gate, silver at her temples and fire in her eyes, and the world I thought I knew tilted. Hillary gripped Lily's hand so tight the girl winced. For a heartbeat no one breathed. Then Olivia crossed the short distance to me and took my hands as if she had always known where they belonged. You must have suffered so much all these years, she said, voice thick. Nick, my son. The word son landed like a bell struck at the center of my chest. Hillary's mouth fell open. Lily stared between us with the solemn curiosity of a child trying to solve a puzzle that adults had broken. Behind Olivia, the heavy door swung wider. A man in a dark suit stood there, broad-shouldered, steady-faced, the kind of person other people made room for without thinking. His hair was iron gray, his tie a simple navy. He did not look surprised to see me. He looked relieved. Come in, he said. All of you. Hillary reacted first. Mrs. Cameron, she started, forcing a laugh, this is a misunderstanding. He has been following us. I will call the police. Olivia did not spare her a glance. You will do no such thing, she said. Then to me, softer, Nick, you are home. Home. The word pushed against old scars. I looked at the man in the doorway. He nodded once. I am Marcus Cameron, he said. Your father. My throat closed. For 3 years I had talked to ghosts. Now the living stood in front of me, claiming me without shame. I could not move. I could not speak. At last I managed one word. Father. Something eased in his face, a tension I had not known to look for until it left. He stepped aside and gestured us in. Hillary tried to pull Lily back. We are leaving, she hissed. Now. Olivia's gaze flicked to Lily with a tenderness that startled me. Lily, she said, gentle as a lullaby, would you like a cup of hot chocolate while the grown-ups talk? The cook makes it with little marshmallows. Lily looked up at her mother, uncertain, then back at Olivia, drawn by the promise and the soft voice. Mommy, she whispered, marshmallows. Hillary tightened her grip, calculating. Marcus spoke before she could refuse. Miss Stone, he said, formal, cool, you are on Cameron property. While you are here, my staff is responsible for the safety and comfort of every guest, especially a child. If you intend to involve the police, do so after we ensure your daughter is calm and safe. He did not raise his voice. He did not need to. 2 uniformed security officers materialized at the edges of the drive, not threatening, simply present. Hillary's jaw worked. Then she released Lily's hand with a brittle smile. Fine, she said. But only in the front sitting room. And I am staying with her. You may sit nearby, Olivia said, already reaching for Lily's free hand. Nick, with me. We crossed a marble foyer that felt like the lobby of a museum and a home at once. Family portraits climbed the staircase. I saw a girl with Olivia's eyes and a boy with Marcus's chin in frames from different years. I saw no trace of myself. A housekeeper led Lily toward a bright room where a tray waited, steam curling from a porcelain pot. Hillary followed, restless and sharp as a trapped bird. Marcus directed me into a library paneled in dark wood. A fire threw a steady light, and the air smelled faintly of old paper and citrus polish. On a sideboard, a bottle and 2 glasses waited. He poured water, not whiskey, and handed me one. We did not know you were coming today, he said. But we have been looking for you for a long time. I held the glass with both hands to steady the tremble. You found me months ago, I said. You contacted me. I did not know what to do. Olivia touched my sleeve. We should have found you sooner, she said. If we had, you would never have been alone in your grief. The word grief tugged me back toward the edge of a black pit. Hillary had lit a fire. She had taken my daughter and my life and, for a long time, my mind. I drew a slow breath. How, I asked, did I leave you? Marcus's eyes went to the portraits on the far wall, as if at the horizon of memory. You did not leave us, he said. You were taken. I gripped the glass harder. 1989, he said. The night before we moved into this house, there was a power outage at the hospital. In the confusion, 2 infants were switched. One of them was you. By the time it was discovered, the other family had already left the city. We spent years chasing ghosts and bad leads. When you were 8, an investigator finally traced a possibility, but the couple who raised you refused to allow testing. When you turned 18, we tried to find you again. The trail went cold. This year, A new forensic genealogist took the case. A match appeared from a voluntary database. It led to you. A long silence grew between us. I thought of the man who taught me to tie my shoes, of the woman who bandaged scraped knees, of the small rental flat that smelled like laundry and soup. I thought of calling them mother and father. I thought of how I had left them too. Grief was not a single door. It was a hall of mirrors. My parents, I said, the ones who raised me, they did not know. They knew only that they loved you, Olivia said. We do not intend to take that from them or from you. But we are your blood, and we have been waiting. I nodded and set the water down. Waiting. So had I, though I had not known for what. From the doorway came the fast light step of someone young. A boy, tall, lean, maybe 20, stopped short and stared at me like he was watching a prophecy come to life. Is it really him? He asked. Marcus's stern mouth softened. Ethan, he said, this is your brother. Ethan closed the distance and stuck out his hand like we were classmates meeting after a summer apart. His grip was strong. His smile was disarming and painfully open. I have a million questions, he said, then caught himself. Sorry. You look like you have had the longest day in history. Feels like it, I said. Movement in the hall drew our attention. Hillary stood at the threshold, hand on the frame, eyes narrowed. She had left Lily with the cocoa and the housekeeper for only a moment, but a moment was enough. So this is the trick, she said. You want to play Prince now? It will not work on me, Nick. Do not come near my daughter again. Olivia faced her with the patience of a teacher who had seen every excuse in the book. Your daughter, she said, is my granddaughter. Hillary let out a short laugh. That depends on a court. Marcus nodded toward an armchair. Sit, Miss Stone, he said. Let us speak plainly before we go to court. I want my daughter, I said. The words were simple. They shook. Hillary crossed her arms. You want to drag Lily into your mess because you woke up and decided you were somebody. She has a life. A school. A family. You are not in it. You burned our old life down, I said. You told me so yourself. Her chin lifted. I did what I had to do. Ethan shifted, restless with indignation. You faked your death, he said. You told a child her father was a monster. You do not get to stand here and act like the injured party. Hillary's mouth flattened. I will not be lectured by a college sophomore. Olivia stepped between them with a raised hand. Enough. Ms. Stone, here is what will happen. Our counsel will file for an emergency hearing. We will request a temporary order for supervised visitation so that Lily can see her father in a safe, neutral setting with a child specialist present. We will seek a paternity test if you attempt to dispute what is already recorded on the birth certificate. If you resist, we will file for a full custody review and introduce evidence regarding the staged fire and your disappearance. Hillary bared her teeth in something that was not a smile. Evidence, she said. You have none. A soft knock interrupted her. A man in his 40s stepped in, tablet in hand. He wore the unremarkable clothes of someone who was paid well to be invisible. Sir, he said to Marcus, forensics called back. The insurance file from 3 years ago shows irregularities. The claim was paid to an offshore entity that ties to a holding company controlled by a Mr. Payton Sr. The same holding company financed the renovation of Ms. Stone's current residence. Also, a preliminary review of security footage around the school suggests that Ms. Stone's present spouse's driver has been monitoring pick-up and drop-off times. The color drained from Hillary's face. For a second her mask cracked and the person beneath it showed through, panicked and small. Then the mask snapped back into place. Conspiracy theories, she said. You think wealth makes you invincible. It does not. No, Marcus said. It makes you responsible. That is precisely the point. Hillary looked past him, toward the bright room where Lily sat with her marshmallows. For a fraction of a second a mother's love flickered there, raw and real. Then fear drowned it. Fine, she said. Supervised visitation. Once. If Lily does not want him, that is the end of it. That is not how the law works, the man with the tablet said mildly. It is how my patience works, Hillary snapped. Olivia addressed me, ignoring Hillary's bait. Nick, do you want to see Lily tomorrow afternoon at the Family Center on Hawthorne Lane at 4? The specialist we work with is available. I swallowed. The thought of Lily screaming bad man rang in my ears. I had to make a decision I would not regret. Yes, I said. But not at a sterile office with strangers. Not at first. She will feel ambushed. She knows the zoo. She loves the penguins and the carousel. Let me meet her in a place where a child is allowed to be a child. The specialist can observe from a distance. Security can be discreet. Marcus considered. The man with the tablet nodded. We can secure the grounds and place plainclothes staff. We can coordinate with zoo security in the city. Hillary laughed again, brittle. You want to turn a visit into a circus? You already did that, I said quietly, the day you told her I was a monster. Her eyes flashed. I told her the truth, she said. You were a mistake, I corrected. Olivia's hand found my shoulder and pressed, the smallest anchor in a storm. 4 o'clock at the zoo, she said. If you do not bring Lily, Miss Stone, the next time we meet will be before a judge, and you will not like the questions that follow. Hillary stared at her, calculating odds and exits. At last she pulled out her phone. I will talk to Ross, she said. If he agrees, we will come. If not, then no. No, Marcus said calmly. You will tell him you are coming. There is a difference. She squared her shoulders. We will see. Then she turned on her heel and disappeared into the bright room. A minute later Lily's small footsteps pattered down the hall, followed by Hillary's clipped stride. At the threshold, Lily looked back, eyes big, mouth smudged with cocoa. I raised a hand, palm out. She flinched and hid behind her mother. The door closed. The house sighed. The fire cracked. Ethan exhaled like he had been holding his breath for an hour. I hate her, he said, then flushed. Sorry. I know she is the mother of your child. I hate what she did. I hate what she did too, I said. But I cannot waste hate on her and still have room for Lily. Olivia's eyes glistened. You will be a good father, she said. You already are one. The man with the tablet cleared his throat. There is one more item, he said. We pulled Lily's birth records. Mr. Nick Stone is listed as father. There is no record of a court order terminating his rights. Also, Ms. Stone's marriage to Mr. Ross Payton occurred 92 days after the date she declared herself a widow. The waiting period under state law is 180 days. If she swore to a court that her husband was deceased at the time, and that declaration was false, that is perjury. If she married before the waiting period concluded, the marriage is voidable. The room went very quiet. A line I had thought fixed shifted a fraction. Do not tell me she forgot to check a calendar, Ethan muttered. Marcus pressed his lips together. We do not leap to conclusions, he said. We build cases. Build fast, I said. We will, he replied. He turned to the man with the tablet. Full team. Quietly. I want the insurance timeline, the fire investigation, the marriage license, and the travel records. I want to know who was on shift at the firehouse that night and who signed off on the scene. I want the original adjuster interview. If there is even a hint that the fire was staged, we will find it. The man nodded and slipped out, already tapping notes. Ethan sank into a chair and looked at me like he was trying to memorize my face. Do you remember anything from when you were little, he asked, that might match anything in this house? A painting? A song? A smell? I shook my head. Only quiet, I said. The kind that follows a slammed door. He winced. Then we will make new memories, he said. I can teach you to sail. Mom can teach you to cook. Dad can teach you how to terrify boardrooms without raising your voice. Ethan, Marcus said, but there was warmth under the reproof. Olivia slipped her arm through mine. Will you stay for dinner, she asked, or will that be too much? I looked toward the hall where Lily had vanished, toward the door where Hillary had thrown her last barb. I thought of the hotel room that would feel even emptier now that I knew what fullness could look like. I will stay, I said. Dinner was simple fare dressed in expensive calm. Roasted chicken. Spring vegetables. Bread still warm from the oven. We ate like the world was not burning, and for an hour I allowed the illusion to hold. Olivia asked me what I liked to read. Ethan told a story about a debate tournament gone wrong. Marcus quizzed me about work and listened when I told him the unglamorous truth of long shifts and small tips and the quiet dignity of doing a job well even when no one noticed. He did not interrupt. He did not judge. The fire behind us kept time with the slow turn of the evening. After coffee, Marcus walked me to the terrace. The city lay below, lights like constellations scattered across a man-made sky. When you are ready, he said, we will talk about the company. You do not owe me anything, Nick. But I will not pretend I am not grateful for a second chance to be a father. I do not know what I can be here, I said. I only know what I must be for Lily. Then start there, he said. The rest will follow. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number appeared. 4 o'clock. Zoo. 10 minutes. If you are late, we are leaving. It was Hillary. No greeting. No threats. Just terms. I showed Marcus. He nodded once, approving the battlefield if not the opponent. Security will be ready, he said. We will be invisible unless you need us. Thank you, I said. Ethan popped his head out onto the terrace. Do you need anything for tomorrow? He asked. Snacks. A game. Penguins like fish, but I do not think that helps. Do not bring gifts, Olivia said gently. Bring something familiar. I thought of the box in my hotel closet. It held what I had not been able to throw away. A tiny shoe. A paper crown from a birthday party. A park map folded a dozen times and taped once where it had torn. I could bring the map. I know what to bring, I said. They walked me to the door. Olivia hugged me without asking permission. Marcus shook my hand like we were closing a deal that mattered. Ethan grinned and told me he would beat me at chess the next time I came. I promised to let him think he had a chance. Outside, the night had cooled. As the car took me down the long drive, I looked back at the house and felt something I had not felt in a long time. Not hope. Not yet. But the shape that hope makes when it draws breath before speaking. At the hotel, I opened the closet and took down the box. The map lay on top. Lily's name was written on the back in shaky crayon. Lily. She had drawn a heart above the letter I. I pressed the flimsy paper to my chest and closed my eyes. Tomorrow I would walk into a place where children laughed and machines chirped and keepers fed fish to birds that flew underwater. Tomorrow I would stand 10 feet from the past and ask it to imagine a future. Tomorrow I would show a little girl a map and point to a circle in purple crayon and say, do you remember this ride, the one with the golden horses? We went together. You were 3. You held my finger all the way there. Maybe she would turn away. Maybe she would scream again. Maybe she would whisper bad man and hide behind a mother who feared everything but her own reflection. Or maybe, just maybe, some small door in her memory would open a crack and let the light through. I slept badly and woke early. At noon Marcus texted to confirm arrangements I had not asked for but could not have refused. The zoo would be open to the public, but our path would be clear. 2 plainclothes security officers would shadow at a distance. The child specialist, Dr. Patel, would be near the carousel with a backpack and a red cap, looking like any other parent. A bench by the penguins had been reserved under the guise of maintenance. If I needed help, I was to touch my watch and speak one word that the microphone would catch. Help. At 3:30 I stood inside the gate, the map folded in my pocket, my mouth dry. I had shaved and worn the plain blue shirt Lily had once pointed at and called ocean. The sky was a deeper blue above the trees. Children ran past, balloons bobbing behind them like bright thoughts. At 3:58 I saw them. Hillary in sunglasses and a white dress. Ross Payton in a suit that cost more than my year of rent and shoes that had never met a sidewalk. Lily between them, dressed in yellow, hair in 2 braids, her small hand swallowed in Ross's larger one. I took a breath that hurt and stepped forward. Hello, Lily, I said. It is Dad. Her eyes went wide. I did not move closer. I took the map from my pocket and unfolded it slowly, as if I were afraid of scaring a bird. Do you remember this? I asked, holding it up. You circled the carousel in purple. You asked if the horses sleep standing up. She stared at the paper. Something flickered across her face. A cloud passed over the sun and moved on. Hillary shifted to block her view. Do not talk to her like that, she said. Do not use that word. Ross squeezed Lily's hand. He kept his eyes on me, cold and measuring. Say your piece, he said, and be done. I did not look at him. I looked at Lily and let the quiet do some of the work. The penguins are about to feed, I said. Do you want to watch with me from the railing? You can stand on the brick and see better. If you are scared, I will step back 5 steps. If you want me to leave, I will go. You only have to say the word. Lily's mouth twisted like she was trying to pull a knot out of a string. She looked up at Hillary, then at Ross, then at me, then at the map again. Her voice, when it came, was almost inaudible. Do the penguins have names? Yes, I said. Pebble and Waddle and King and Ladybird. I do not know all of them. Maybe we can learn. She took a small step. Hillary caught her shoulder. Lily, she warned. Ross's phone buzzed. He glanced down, frowned, and for a fraction of a second forgot to pretend he was not worried. A man in a blazer I recognized from news photos stood near the entrance speaking to 2 uniformed officers. Ross's jaw tightened. I did not move. I waited. I held the map and the thin thread of a memory and the breath I had taken when I first saw my daughter. I waited as if patience itself could build a bridge. Lily took another step. Then another. She stopped at the line in the paving stones where I had promised I would keep my distance. She looked up at me with blue eyes that were mine and her own and nobody else's. "Can I see the purple circle?" she asked. I held the map out so that she did not have to come closer to look. She studied it with the grave focus of a scholar. Then she pointed at a smudge I had not noticed, a tiny fingerprint in faded purple near the edge. "That one is mine," she said, almost proud. "From when I was little." "You are still little," I said, and had to swallow hard. "But you are also very brave." Behind her, Hillary's breath hitched. Ross took a step forward, but two men in windbreakers were suddenly near, casual and firm, and he thought better of it. The penguin keeper banged a bucket with a stick. Birds Rock hopped onto the rocks and cried, impatient and funny. Lily laughed, the sound like bells in a place I had thought abandoned. "Do they eat fish?" she asked. "They do," I said. "Anchovies. Sardines. The ones with the shiny sides." "I like the shiny ones," she said. "Me too," I said, though I did not know if it was true. It did not matter. What mattered was the bubble of joy that rose in her voice, small and bright and whole. Hillary stood very still. The sunglasses hid her eyes, but not the tremor in her mouth. Ross was on his phone now, face turned away, voice low and urgent. The man in the blazer at the gate looked toward us and nodded once, as if a piece on a board had moved to its proper square. I kept my promise. I did not step closer. I did not reach out. I stood with my hands at my sides and watched penguins with my daughter and thought, tomorrow I will fight again, and the day after, and the day after that, not to punish the past but to rescue the future. I thought of Olivia's steady hand, of Marcus's quiet force, of Ethan's eager grin. I thought of a house with portraits that did not yet have my face in them. I thought of a little purple circle on a paper map and how, sometimes, the way home is not a straight line but a ring you keep tracing until it opens. When the bucket was empty and the birds were fed, Lily turned to me, serious. "Do the horses sleep standing up?" she asked, as if 3 years had not passed, as if a father had not been turned into a ghost and then back again. "Yes," I said. "Some do." She nodded like that made all the sense in the world. Then she stepped back to the line in the stones and looked over her shoulder at Hillary, seeking permission from the person who had taught her to fear the things she loved. Hillary took off her sunglasses. For a long moment she let me see her eyes, and in them the war she was losing against her own choices. Then she put the glasses back on and set her mouth in a hard line. "Time to go," she said. Lily hesitated. "Can I keep the map?" she asked me. My hands moved before my heart could stop them. I folded the paper and held it out. She took it carefully, as if it might break. "Tomorrow," I said, "I will bring you a new one. If you want." She looked at Hillary, then back at me. "Maybe," she whispered. They walked away. Ross did not look at me. Hillary did, once, the sunglasses sliding a fraction down her nose, just enough to show a flash of something I could not name. Regret. Fear. Anger. All of it and none. I stood alone by the railing while the keeper washed the bucket and the birds preened their feathers. Dr. Patel strolled past with a red cap and a neutral smile and said, "Good work," as if we had just finished a math problem and not started a war. That night, back in my room, I set my phone on the desk and sat in the dark without turning on the light. Messages stacked up. From Marcus. From Olivia. From a number labeled counsel. From a number I did not recognize that said only once, "Do not expect more," and another that said "She will not choose you," and another that contained only a photograph of a courtroom door. I ignored them all. I lay on the bed fully dressed and listened to the quiet. Somewhere in the city, sirens wailed, then faded. Somewhere, a little girl traced a purple circle with her finger and asked a question about horses that had an answer she could hold. I did not sleep, but I did not fall. I was done falling. Tomorrow the law would begin to move. Tomorrow the rich would learn that some debts do not accept payment plans. Tomorrow I would meet with a team whose job was to find the truth and lay it on a table where a judge could see it. Tomorrow I would bring a new map. For tonight, I held on to the old one and to the sound of Lily's laugh, and I promised the dark that I would not let go. The courthouse was silent but tense, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Rows of polished benches gleamed under the pale light. On one side, Hillary and Ross sat stiff, their lawyers whispering frantically. On the other, I stood with my counsel, Olivia's steady hand on my shoulder, Marcus's presence a wall of calm behind me. When the judge entered, the air shifted. Papers rustled, shoes scraped, then silence again. Evidence was presented piece by piece: the insurance fraud, the offshore accounts, the staged fire, the marriage filed before the waiting period. Each document landed like a stone in water, ripples spreading across the courtroom. Ross's jaw tightened with every page. Hillary's composure cracked, her hands trembled as she twisted the strap of her handbag. And then, Lily was called. The judge allowed it only because a child specialist was present, and her testimony would be brief. She walked in, small in her yellow dress, clutching the folded zoo map I had given her. My heart clenched. The specialist knelt beside her. "Do you know why you are here, Lily?" She nodded solemnly. "Because everyone is fighting about who my daddy is." Her voice, so simple, so pure, cut through every argument. The judge leaned forward gently. "And do you know who your daddy is?" Lily looked across the courtroom. Her eyes met mine, steady this time. She held up the map with the purple circle. "He is the one who remembers," she said. "He is my dad." Gasps rippled through the room. Hillary's face went pale, her mouth opening but no words coming out. Ross stared at her, betrayal flashing in his eyes. The judge struck the gavel. Temporary full custody to Nicholas Cameron, pending permanent review. Supervised visitation for the mother. The court finds substantial evidence of fraud and deception. Further investigation will proceed against Ross Payton and Associates. The gavel struck again, final as thunder. Hillary broke. She tried to rise, but her knees buckled. Ross did not catch her. He was already on his phone, his empire crumbling in real time. I dropped to one knee as Lily was guided toward me. She hesitated only a second, then ran into my arms. The weight of her tiny frame against my chest shattered the last chains around my heart. "I remember the horses," she whispered into my shirt. "I wasn't wrong." "No," I whispered back, tears finally spilling. "You were never wrong. You were just waiting for me to come back." Outside, cameras flashed, questions flew, chaos swirled. But for once, none of it mattered. Olivia and Marcus flanked us, Ethan bounding ahead like a shield and a guide. My daughter's hand was in mine. That night, back at the Cameron estate, the family gathered in the library. Dinner was warm, laughter careful but real. Lily sat beside me, tracing circles on a fresh zoo map Ethan had drawn for her in bright markers. When she finished, she pointed at a new purple circle. "Next time," she said, "we go here. Together." I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. "Next time," I promised. And for the first time in years, I knew that promise would hold.